Organized chaos. Sounds like a great name for any democratic organization or club, doesn't it? Okay, a little survey to start out with. How many in this room believe that Social Security and Medicare should be preserved and protected as we go forward? All right, that's a pretty good percentage. Let's see what a national survey conducted by CBS said. Next slide, please. All right, there it is, number 2, 71%. The highest priority for Congress should be dealing with protecting Social Security and Medicare. Not everybody agrees. Next slide, please. Republicans don't have it anywhere in their top 4 priorities. This is a nationwide survey of voters. Guess what brought the average up? Next slide, please. Democrats. Who else? Because we care about people who are not able to afford going forward without a little bit of assistance that they pay for themselves, right? They contributed throughout their entire lives. Next slide, please. Why is this so current? Well, other than that tremendous State of the Union speech we heard the other day. It came up because, which happens every year, they're talking about the debt ceiling. So let's dispel a couple of myths. The debt ceiling is not about expenses going forward, it's about paying bills we already have agreed to pay. If we don't do that, then our credit goes to what happens with credit when we don't pay our bills, and that would be bad. As every economist has pointed out, it could cause a worldwide deep recession. So, typically, Congress has voted to increase the debt ceiling 20 times in the past 21 years. It's a routine thing to do. What's different this year? Republicans, right? Certain people in the Republican Party have decided that this is a great opportunity to threaten to crash the global economy and ours, to try to force cuts to Social Security and Medicare. It's a bargaining move for them. Next slide, please. Here's Katie Porter's whiteboard, the whiteboard of truth. And she was explaining to people on this particular newscast, you can't really see it there, she said, how much does Social Security and Medicare contribute to the national debt? The answer is 0, because by law, it is a trust fund, it's set aside. It comes from your payroll taxes and your employer's payroll taxes. So it's 0. So don't let anybody fool or kid you about that. Next slide, please. You know, I really do agree with former First Lady Michelle Obama that when they go low, we should go high. But with the other guys, there doesn't seem to be any bottom, right? So when I see this guy, whose company, when he was CEO, was convicted of the biggest Medicare fraud in history and was fined $1.7 billion, talk about sunsetting Social Security and Medicare, I really want to say some bad things, but I don't. Voldemort. So there he is on that side, making his case. Here's our guy on the other side. And what he has said quite clearly and emphasized in the State of the Union publicly was, you send me anything that tries to cut Social Security, veto. Try to trim Medicare, veto. Cut benefits anyway, veto. They are not going to get away with this on his watch. Fortunately, we also have a Democratic Senate. And it's so bad right now in response to all of that, because he forced Republicans to stand up on national TV in front of millions of people. But we don't believe them, do we? Because they're going to keep trying. And even afterwards, on all their shows, on their networks, they're talking about, yeah, the same guy who was up screaming next to Marjorie Taylor Greene, Mike Lee from Utah, liar, liar. The next day, we saw a clip of him saying he wanted to pull it up by its roots, Social Security and Medicare, and get rid of it entirely, which is much worse than this guy sunsetted every 5 years, or the guy in Ron Johnson saying, well, let's review it every year. They're going to keep trying because Republicans have been fighting against Social Security since it was conceived in 1933. And they have continued to try to chip away at it in any form of help for people who might need it from the government ever since. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's this guy. We've heard him a couple of times. John Bowser-Baumann of Shanana, but now the founder and head of the Social Security Works PAC. And John has done more in the last 10, 12 years to try to help elect, particularly House members, than just about anybody. He did 50 campaign events this past cycle.
Wow.
And he was here with Val Hemmings at an event we helped stage. And John has a few things to remind you, and I'm not going to try to sing. Next. Watch what they say, because language is important and matters, and counter it whenever you hear it. Social Security and Medicare are not welfare programs. They're not intended. These are benefits you earned, and people before you were earned, people after you will be earning and receiving. Thank you. Move on. Next. And watch what they try to do. Social Security cannot add a penny to the deficit, and any proposal to cut benefits as a means of reduction is a ploy to steal them. So we're going to give you a couple of action ideas here in a minute. Next. Respond and act accordingly. On the chairs, you found a piece of paper that had email addresses and phone numbers for 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. Your message to the Democrats should be nice and supportive. It's up to you what you say to the Republicans. Michelle Obama is in your ear now, right? So try to stay high if you possibly can. I don't think I would pass that test. And spread the word. Don't let people sort of be misled by all the information that's bad that's out there. And do it for those who will follow us. We know how important Social Security benefits and Medicare are to us because we're in the group that's using it like 66 million other Americans. But when I was growing up as a young person in the workplace for the first time, I had no idea what it meant to be retired. And I had no idea what was going on. And what I heard in the news in those days was it won't be there when you are ready to retire anyway. Well, guess what? It's there. And it's significantly important to me to be able to live comfortably and reasonably in the villages right now. So do it for your children and their children. Fight for it. Next slide, please. See if I can do this. There we go. Hang in there. We can do this. We all need to take responsibility. We all need to act and fight these despicable outrages the Republicans are trying to put on us. Thank you very much.